Everyone, welcome to College Planning Tip of the Week. My name is Jack Wang. I'm CEO of Longhorn Financial, where we help families navigate the college financial aid process, lower the cost of college, pay for it while still being able to retire. I'm here with my great friend, Nancy Steenson, Steenson College Admissions Coach, based out of Danville, New Hampshire, but I know she works with clients all over the country. I'm really excited to be sharing this information to help all of you out there with the college admissions process, because we both know, or we all know, that it can be extremely stressful. So Nancy, I want to get right into it. I know one question that I get often, and I'm really not qualified to answer this, right? Even though I sort of have my own opinions. And that is, right now, students are having a hard time getting into standardized tests, right? They're either the tests are getting canceled, and a lot of schools simply are telling students that they're not being required. So given that, what are some tips that you're sharing with your students about the other aspects of their application? Or what might you be hearing out there in the industry? And how can students, not only seniors, but more importantly, right, juniors and younger, sort of take advantage of this situation?
Well, it is a different universe right now with so many colleges going test optional this year, and there are other aspects of the application to certainly consider. One thing that really stands out is what are students doing outside the classroom? It's a crazy world right now, and most of students' spring activities were canceled. Very few students had the opportunity to do the things they had planned for the summer. The fall, we're still in a pandemic, and we don't have perhaps fall sports. We may not have a homecoming dance. All the things that students are used to doing outside of school have been canceled. Now, like many of us, we have our downtime. We know that students love to go on Instagram. We know they love video games. We know they're going to go on Netflix.
Yeah.
We all have our, right, we all love, but what are they going to do outside of school to better themselves or better their community? And I ask this question because colleges really universally came out with one voice saying, we understand we're in a pandemic. Take care of your health. That's your physical health and your mental health. That's the most important thing. We know spring track was canceled. We know you never got to the robotics competition, and we understand. But really, underneath that, there's a message, especially with the more elite schools, that we're sort of going to watch and we're going to wait and we're going to see who's going to rise to this challenge of creating opportunities for themselves. Because really,
that makes a lot of sense. Just, because I know families who have students who, they're all about sports, but maybe they can't play, or they're all about, for example, performance art, like music, right? That they're used to going to recitals or other performances, and now you can't do those. So if that was their thing, right, they can't really express their thing. And that totally makes sense. So now if the student's just sitting on the couch watching Netflix and that's all they're doing, that doesn't make for a very compelling application, right?
Correct. And here's the thing, you're right. They can't do their sports in the same way they could before. But you don't have to be captain of the field hockey team to send out an email to your teammates and say, hey guys, I know we don't have a season this year. And some schools do have seasons, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if you don't have a season. So I know we don't have a season, but I've got this great workout that I found on YouTube, and I'm going to be doing it at 4 o'clock today. Who's in? That's leadership. Right? That's leadership. Or a student who cannot participate in marching band. Maybe they play the clarinet and they love music and that's what they really do with their time. Well, maybe there's a saxophone in the back of dad's closet that hasn't been touched in years. Maybe they pull it out and say, I'm going to find some Zoom lessons and teach myself the saxophone. So there are ways to really pursue what it is you love in this void that we call the pandemic. And I would urge students, especially those students who are applying to more highly selective schools, to think outside the box and really try to pursue something constructive that's meaningful to them. Because it's never about just checking a box, joining clubs. That's never been what's most impressive. What's always most impressive are those students who think outside the box and create opportunities for themselves, whether we're in a pandemic or not.
Right.
Because
So let's talk a little bit about sort of because if your student's a high school senior right now, um, I mean, the time of year right now, it is what it is, right? But for high school juniors and younger, where they have some time to really kind of figure these things out, I know oftentimes parents and students will ask, well, how many extracurriculars there be? And and again, I'm not really the one qualified to answer this, uh, but what I hear you saying is really sort of find that thing that you're passionate about that sort of allows you, the individual, to stand out, right? And for every student, that might be something different, but basically, I think what I'm hearing you say is find your thing that makes you a little bit different or better or whatever than sort of everybody else with their thing, right? I don't necessarily hear you advocating go out and join 30 clubs.
correct. A lot of students think they need to be well-rounded, and they really don't need to be well-rounded. Colleges are looking for a well-rounded student body. They're not necessarily looking for well-rounded students. It doesn't hurt to be well-rounded, but do not go joining 10 clubs because you think that's what colleges want, because it doesn't impress colleges. What impresses them is really digging deep and pursuing what you really love and taking it wide and taking it deep. So
Awesome.
that's what I would recommend to any student in a pandemic or not in a pandemic.
Awesome. That's a great tip. And again, I get asked these questions. I know parents get asked these questions. Students ask these questions. They ask them with their guidance counselor. And it's just one of those sort of, on the surface sounds very simple, but really it can be quite mystifying, I guess, if you're really not used to it. So, okay. One last quick tip before we wrap up for today, Nancy, about the college admin and other parts of the process.
I'd love to talk about more elements of this next time, but on the extracurricular front, I just want to point out there are students who apply to very, very selective schools and students who are applying to slightly less selective schools. But when they're looking at those top elite institutions, students should keep in mind leadership, they should keep in mind achievement, and they should keep in mind recognition, because those colleges are looking for movers and shakers on high school campuses, because they know they will become movers and shakers on college campuses, and those are the students who are probably going to go on to do great things.
Awesome. That's a great point. That's a great point. Movers and shakers. Excellent. Thanks so much, Nancy. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing that great information. Again, it's stuff that I don't really know, but I do get asked all the time. Yeah, and in future episodes, we'll be covering those different aspects of college admissions and and the other pieces that go into it, as well as things like financial aid and student loans and such. So join us next time for the college planning tip of the week. Thanks so much.
Thanks.